come and speak at our conference, and he was interested. Phil actually has a very interesting background. He was named Infiniti Director of Marketing Communications and Media in April 2017. He first joined Infiniti's parent company, Nissan, in April 2006 after spending 14 years in various marketing positions in my hometown of Detroit at Ford.
That's correct.
So let's talk a little bit about Infiniti. So Infiniti is still a young brand, but how has its brand image evolved?
You know, I really love this brand because it is a young brand relative to some of our competitors. We're 29 years old, the big 3-0 next year. But we're not so young that we don't have a heritage and a legacy. And one of the things that I really like about the role that I'm in and this brand is the fact that that allows us to have something a leg to stand on, something to build on, and we certainly have that. We've got a heritage of innovation and of human centricity, but it's not so rooted in those things that we can't maneuver moving forward, and we don't. Versus some brands that have such a strong history that they're sort of stayed and don't have the ability to break out of the place that they're in. So the other nice thing is even if you look at the brand, the two lines pointing to moving to an infinite point, it's all about moving forward, and that's what the brand's always been about as well. And I love that logo. And so we're always looking forward to new ideas, and I think that that the brand, the 30 years, the 29 years, gives us the ability to leverage those things that we've done in the past, those innovations and those the risk-taking that we've done, but yet doesn't confine us moving forward. Yeah.
So speaking of risk-taking, tell me a little bit about, I just queued up, this is an overview of the Japan Automotive Invitational at Pebble Beach and how it fit into all of the marketing activations that you had going on there.
Yeah, this was a big deal for us. I'm really proud of this. The Japanese Automotive Invitational, this was the first annual. For those of you familiar with Pebble Beach, you know the Concours has been the centerpiece of Monterey Car Week for a long time, but the event's been morphing over the years, and so now what we've got is on Sunday you have the Monterey the Concours, but throughout the week there's all kinds of different events, and we were ideating. It was actually around this time last year about what we could do to leverage that, to get in front of or to leverage this change that's been going on. And it was actually Ed Lowe and Motor Trend who had this spark of innovation, and he said, you know, the Japanese styling and heritage is something that is building momentum. They're becoming more, Japanese cars are becoming more collectible, but it's really the one genre that's not being celebrated during Monterey Car Week. And what if we were to do that? And at Infiniti, we're very proud of the fact that we're a Japanese luxury brand. And so we thought that bringing all of the great Japanese brands together and celebrating that would be really something special, and be able to give us the ability to carve out a time and a place and build some excitement around Japanese design. And so we did that. We brought 44 historically significant Japanese cars together. There were a few Infinitis, certainly our flagship, the 1989 Q45, we had an example of that vehicle there and others, but we had examples from all of the Japanese brands celebrating every brand there, and it turned out to be just a really fantastic celebration of Japanese heritage.
So who were you trying to reach with it? A different demographic than you normally target, more millennials perhaps?
Yeah, well, certainly, the nice part about being in Pebble is that you're talking to influencers in the industry, people who have certainly the wherewithal to be an influencer, but the incredible passion around cars. And so we were trying to reach those folks in a new way. But certainly, Japanese, the tuner industry, the fans of tuner of that genre tend to be younger, tend to be millennials. We tend to sell to a bit younger audience than our competitors do, and so we thought that perhaps this would resonate with those folks, and it did. It was a hugely successful. We didn't know exactly what to make of this or what would happen. We ended up getting over 8,000 people through this during the weekend, so it was just packed, and it allowed us to, when you talk about reaching a younger audience, we thought about that. And one of the things that we try to do every year at Pebble is try to extend Pebble beyond Monterey, because there's a lot of interest nationally, but it's very hard to bring the flavor of what happens that week to the national audience. And so this is drone footage. We used this. We pushed it out through social media. We used, Motor Trend helped us to pull together the first Japanese classic car forum, which was packed. And we had 5 experts talking about Japanese heritage and various Japanese cars of note. And we also, well, that was very cool, Kareem Habib is Infiniti's chief designer. And we had him, and he came and did a very informal walk through this forum, talking about those elements of style that he found compelling. Not just Infiniti and Nissan models, but there were some really beautiful examples of all kinds of historic Japanese cars. And he just talked about, and we filmed it and pushed it out through social media, he just talked about whatever struck him. And it was fascinating and really, really allowed us to, I think, capture the magic of what the JAI became and push it out nationally.
Yeah, I thought it was really cool. It wasn't just Infiniti. There were all of the other Japanese brands, and you could really see sort of the history. And I heard a lot of people say, wow, you know, I grew up with that car. That was my first car. My mom used to drive me around in that car. People seem to connect with it more than maybe some of the cars on Sunday.
We felt like it would be a lot more powerful if it were an agnostic portrayal of Japanese style and not just an Infiniti show, and it certainly wasn't.
So will you do it again?
We think that this is something that could really become a mainstay of Pebble. It's on Saturday, so it's right before the Concours. Pebble was a partner in it, and they loved it, and they were really helpful in pulling this off. So yeah, this is something that we look forward to building on for sure.
So you mentioned Motor Trend. Have they partnered with you for other marketing-related activities, or was this a one-off, and why are they a good partner?
Yeah, Motor Trend's been a partner of ours at Pebble for a number of years. And we do partner with Motor Trend on other things too. And one of the things that I find really powerful about the partnership, and other partners that we have too, the really valuable partners are the ones that are innovative and bring new ideas to the table. And this is an example of that, where we were challenging Motor Trend to help us to expand and innovate around what we've been doing at Pebble, and I think this idea speaks for itself.
So let's talk a little bit about cars.
Great.
Here we go. One year ago here in LA, actually, you launched Infiniti's all-new luxury midsize crossover, the QX50, which we have up on our screen. How did you approach that launch, and are you happy with the results?
Yeah. Well, so I am a bit of a gearhead, and certainly I love the industry. I've been in it a long time, and one of the things that is, I think, a unique dynamic that we haven't seen before is the move to compact crossovers, both in mainstream brands, but maybe arguably even more so in luxury. So this segment now comprises over a third of all luxury sales. One segment comprises over a third. It's astounding, and it's also astounding at how fast this change has happened. And so for us, we viewed this as potentially the biggest launch in years, maybe in the brand's history, because it was giving us what we think the QX50 is the epitome of our brand position. The epitome of being human, daring, and forward for a whole host of reasons. And it's also, we were launching this pinnacle of our brand into a segment that now comprises 35% of the business. And so it was a huge, important milestone for us. And so we tried to approach it as such. And even the pre-launch activity that we did a pre-sale. Now pre-sale initiatives aren't innovative or new, but we thought we would try something new with this, and our objective with our pre-sale wasn't to sell cars necessarily. That's actually kind of hard to do, a pre-sale program in the US in a high volume segment. They tend to work really well with niche products where you can generate a lot of buzz. But what we wanted to do here is come up with a program that would just create buzz and activity around the brand, and we came up with an idea that would leverage crowdsourcing, which I don't know that it's been done before, but we wanted to use crowdsourcing as an opportunity to generate buzz. And so anybody who reserved a QX50 before we launched would get an incentive. That's not innovative either. But the more people that reserved, the bigger the incentive got. And that's what was somewhat innovative. And it incented the reservationists to share the fact that they reserved a vehicle and hopefully generate more buzz, and if their friends and family and others would reserve, they'd get a bigger incentive. And we actually reached beyond our expectations, reached the top level of incentive, and sold more vehicles off of the pre-sale buzz than we had anticipated. So it was a really, I think, an interesting way to generate pre-launch demand. And then post that, it was all about pulses through the launch that were innovative. We used our NCAA program, which is a tentpole program for us to launch it. We had the Marvel Avengers Infinity War, which ended up being the largest movie, I think, in history, and conveniently for us, they entitled it Infinity, so that was kind of nice. And then we used our Steph Curry relationship in the NCAA and NBA playoffs as big pulses through this launch. And so to answer your question, and now sales are exceeding our expectations. So it was all about building momentum in innovative ways. And yes, I think, you know, the product is great, the segment is huge, and it's been a really important moment for us to reinforce what our brand stands for.
I thought the Marvel connection was kind of unexpected and interesting. Let's watch a little video.
Yeah, I'll tell you, I'll watch it again, because we had a big debate about this. So obviously Infinity in the movie is spelled differently than our brand is spelled. And so the big debate was, is this somehow compromising our brand in order to affiliate ourselves with the movie? And it was actually Adam Chasnow, who, our executive creative director, we were debating this, and he said, well, what if we were to lean into it? What if we were to sort of, let's take advantage of this? And he came up with this pneumatic where we switch the Y to an I, and it actually became a really effective way to draw people's eyes to the spelling of our brand. And I think it's funny, the devil's in the details, but that little simple idea saved the relationship, and I think actually greatly enhanced the results of the program. And so, you know, we have a car that's in the film. At the end of the film, we've got there are all kinds of elements, but that single little detail made a huge difference in the launch of the vehicle.
So you did mention the NCAA, go green, go white, by the way. How did you? Sorry, I know he's a go blue guy, but how did you integrate the QX50, and what does that partnership mean to the brand?
You know, it's fun. Before you mentioned it, so I have to, you know, take my lumps. I did go to University of Michigan. It's been a difficult time for our Wolverine fans. But you mentioned where the previous speaker, Ross, mentioned that the landscape is littered with companies that haven't changed and evolved. And I was watching the football game, and they were talking about the last time that Michigan had beaten Ohio State in Columbus, and it was in 2002, 2003. And they were on TV. They were showing things that had happened back in that time frame, and they mentioned Blockbuster declining to buy Netflix at the time. And that was one of and you think, well, there's a brand that's, you know, littered. Anyway, I'm digressing. But you mentioned white and green and white, so I had to. Anyway, yeah, so the NCAA, this is something we're really proud of. It's an 8-year relationship. This will be our 9th year. We partner with the National Association of College Basketball Coaches. We partner with the NCAA and Coaches versus Cancer. It's allowed us to give away $8 million, over $8 million in the 8 years that we've had the program, to fight cancer and to a host of other charities. And my team, the whole Infiniti brand, is so proud of this, because this actually gives us an opportunity to give back, and we take every advantage of that, I think. So the program has a number of phases. The first phase is during the regular season. We have the Infiniti Coaches Charity Challenge, which engages coaches to build momentum themselves, and they compete for votes, and fans can vote for their favorite coach, and the winning coach gets $100,000 for their favorite charity. This past year it was Dave Rose, who's the coach of Brigham Young University, and we ended up donating $100,000 to the Brigham Young's Cancer Research Center, which is an unbelievable cause. And then we go into the postseason, where we have a round-by-round bracket challenge. 14 million people participated last year, and for every correct pick, We give money to the American Cancer Society. And we also have a game that is very close to my heart. It's called the Hardwood Heroes game, and it's on Friday on the Final Four court before the Saturday Final Four games. And it's broadcast live on Facebook, and it is a game that's played by cancer survivors, real heroes in their own right, and they're coached by Hall of Fame coaches. And this past year it was Jim Calhoun and Bo Ryan. Jim Calhoun coached UConn, and Bo Ryan was Wisconsin's coach. Both are Hall of Fame coaches. And it just creates such huge awareness around the fight against cancer, which is, I think, it's a cause that touches everyone. And so it really does allow us to contribute significant resources towards that fight. And this photo is a photo of our activation on site at the Final Four, where we had over 80,000 people come through this. Some of those decided to shoot baskets. For every basket, we give money to American Cancer Society. Even some college coaches came. Dave Rose, Jim Calhoun, they all came and shot free throws for us, and we continue, donate money to the American Cancer Society for everyone they make as well. So it's another great way for us to not only engage fans. We're obviously looking to build our brand and associate ourselves with the NCAA, but it allows us to contribute significantly to some great causes. So it's a big tentpole program for us, the biggest of the year, and it actually starts about right now. The NCAA basketball is just getting kicked off, and it'll run through the finals. So yeah, we're very proud of this one.
Thank God for basketball, right?
Yeah, no doubt, no doubt.
So let's move on to this beauty. What is next for Infiniti? And tell us about this.
Yeah,
this
so this is, so our CEO, Mr. Saikawa, has made no bones about it, neither has our president, Roland Kruger, that the future of Infiniti is electrification. And that's the direction the brand will be heading in the next few years. And we've shown a couple of cars that I think demonstrate Kareem's vision and Infiniti's vision for what that means, because when electrification does offer the ability to have very different designs. And we showed the Q Inspiration, which was a hint at our next flagship sedan. We showed that in a couple different places last year. It was at Pebble. And then at Pebble this year, we just revealed this car that you see, which is the P10. It is an example of what an Infiniti electrified roadster might look like. It generated a huge amount of buzz. It's here in LA for the LA Auto Show. We're really proud of this, and I think it's definitely a hint as to what future Infinitis will look like, and I think it gives a hint to what electrification means to our brand. So it's a great example of the future of Infiniti. And then from I can't talk about the future of Infiniti without talking about what it means to the consumer now. And we just launched some new creative with a line, "Luxury Should Be Lived In," and we feel like this is yes, this is the TV spot.
Do you want to watch it before
yeah,
we talk about it?
let's do it.
Okay.
The rules of luxury. Look, but don't touch. Touch, but don't use. Use, but don't enjoy. Enjoy, but don't show it.
If you're going to follow one rule, make sure it's this one. Luxury should be lived in. Be our honored guests and get exceptional offers at the Infiniti Winter Sales Event. Infiniti, empower the drive.
So this notion of luxury should be lived in, we feel like it's very important for us to differentiate ourselves from our competitors. And it's also important for us to tie back to what our brand has always stood for. And we think this does both of those things, that luxury should be lived in. Our brand is not one that's precious. It never has been. It's never been one that you put on a pedestal and you show it off. It's one that it's much more personal than that. And it's about the fact that our vehicles are designed to be used and enjoyed. And so that's what we're trying to do with this campaign. And what we'll be trying to do moving forward is to talk to consumers about the fact that to invite them to use our brand, not to showcase it, but to actually live with it. And so we're really excited about this. It definitely supports the notion of empower the drive. It definitely ties back to where the brand has been but it also offers us, a new future as well. So that's where we're going from a communication standpoint. That's where we're going from a product standpoint. I think we've got a pretty clear direction for the future, and we're very excited about it.
Cool.
Yeah.
Well, I think we are ready to take some questions from the audience, actually. So hopefully.
Hello, is this on? Oh, we've got questions. All right, I've got a big question, so I'm gonna let you go first, though, sir. So, guys, throughout the day, when you have a question, please do stand, tell us where you work, and not what you do necessarily, just where you work and who you are, and then ask your question. All right, thanks.
Yeah, I'm a writer and managing editor of Performance Racing Tech Talk. I'm a past owner of a J30, took it over 300,000 miles. What did the J30 mean to the Infiniti brand?
So the J30, it was a really unique design. It was a rear-wheel drive V6 sedan with I think the most interesting element of the J30 was the rear end, which was really breakthrough at the time. It was a drop trunk design, and I think it reinforced, again, it was, if you look through Infiniti's history, we have points in time where we've diverged from the common direction, whether it's the FX, which created a whole new segment, or the J30, which was a new design direction that had never been taken before. For me, it was another example of Infiniti doing things a bit differently, trying new things, being innovative, and being forward-thinking, which is what the brand has always been. And that's probably one of the most significant examples of that. That's what it meant to me, anyway.
Does anyone else have a question? If the answer is no, I think I have a very big question that may eat up the rest of this time. I'm sorry. I think 2018, or even like the last 18 months perhaps, influence is such a big thing in the world these days, and sort of the buying influence, right? I guess I wanted to ask you to maybe talk about, you brought up some great partner sort of sponsorship marketing examples, and it's still so important to lots of brands. I'm just wondering, like, if you've thought of, or maybe you could talk through kind of the difference between, say, aligning with like a company or an organization these days, right, and doing sponsorship marketing versus something like, say, influencer marketing, where you mentioned Steph Curry, doing something like with him and his PR people. There's like operationally, it's like a whole different can of worms, right, that you're opening up. But like it seems to be a sort of watered down version in a way of sponsorship marketing, influencer marketing. So I guess I'm just wondering if you think about this and sort of what the future might hold, because I guess influencer marketing seems like it's a lot easier to do, but like of course there's legal implications of that as well. So I guess it's sort of a future question about sort of like the here and now and what works today versus, I don't know, 5-10 years from now.
Yeah, it's becoming very blurred. From a standpoint that influencer and I think the general public is to some degree becoming aware of this, that it is that influencer marketing to a large degree is sponsorship marketing. Mm-hmm. You're just trying to do it in a grassroots way that maybe is a little bit more, I don't know, hidden. But I think for me, what it comes down to is that the landscape is becoming so fragmented that there isn't a silver bullet anymore. There's no single sponsorship that will accomplish what we're trying to accomplish in any given endeavor. So you need many silver bullets, and we look at it as almost ubiquitously sponsorships, influencer marketing. It's all a means to an end, and we're going to need many different tactics in order to accomplish what we want to accomplish. So I don't know that it's so much about sponsorship marketing versus influencer marketing as much as it is looking at it all across the landscape and developing a portfolio of tactics that ultimately come together into one large initiative. I think ultimately in 5 or 10 years, that's where it's going to go. The influencer marketing is becoming, it's becoming very well known that product placement and influencer marketing are nothing more than sponsorships. Today, I think there's still the ability to leverage influencer marketing in an organic way to where it seems like to the general public that some of these influencers are just generally choosing brands because they like them. But that's becoming, those opportunities are becoming fewer and farther between. I don't think influencer marketing is going to go away, but I think that we're going to have to think about how to leverage it, knowing that the general public recognizes it for what it is, if that makes sense.
Yeah, definitely. Just to me, it seems like, it would be much more lead time would go into something like, aligning with a company or an organization versus, a celebrity. But I don't know. I guess that's what I was kind of wondering is like whether you think that's going to go more in the sort of aligning with celebrities, I guess, and sports stars and that kind of thing, or organizations. I don't know.
Well, aligning with celebrities, that's not a simple or easy or short or near-term decision. There's a lot of thought that has to go into that because with any sponsorship, there's risks and associated with it, and with influencer marketing, there's definitely so you have to be very careful about not only the obvious risks. Is the celebrity going to do something that the brand doesn't necessarily agree with, but also you have to think about, is the influencer putting the brand in the position you want it put in? And so you have to be very strategic about it. It's not so much that you just make a phone call and give a celebrity a car. It's not anywhere near that simple, certainly not anymore. And so that's why I think this is, influencer marketing has to be well thought out and is nothing more than one of many tactics that could be used to achieve whatever objective you're trying to achieve.
Okay, all right, thanks for the answer.
Yeah, my pleasure.
We could do one more, yeah, go ahead.
Hey there, my name is Ben Weiss. I'm with a company called Stackla. I really like the lasting image of that Q50 ad of the guy eating the burger in the driver's seat. And you mentioned being human is one of the core traits that you guys really focus on. What are the other ways that you guys are sort of adding a human element or human messaging to your marketing strategy?
Well, so for us, it's not, and it goes all the way back to our first ads. I'm sure that many of you have, at least if you haven't seen them, you've heard about the fact that the first Infiniti ads didn't even have a car in them. I think it's probably a case study in what works and what doesn't work, but it's certainly interesting and speaks to the human centricity of our brand. But it's not so much about what we're doing to add humanity, because everything that we do, we think about that. And everything that if you'll look across our portfolio of marketing tactics, there's an element of humanity in virtually everything that we do. Now, what we're trying to do, perhaps with this new direction that we're taking, is to be a little bit more overt about what life means to luxury and how life infiltrates luxury. And so when you look at the creative that we're going to be coming out with from this point forward, you're going to be seeing very thoughtful elements of life associated with our cars. So it could be, we're just not going to show necessarily a pristine interior. We might show interiors and how our consumers are using the interior of our vehicles. So we're being very thoughtful about that, but we're going to be very careful to show that our brand is not one that is pristine. I use the word precious. Well, I really like that word because it's something that we're really trying not to be, and it's something our cars have never been designed to be. One of the things that we recognize as part of our heritage is Japanese quality, and we do get credit for that with consumers, and there's a reason for that. The cars are designed to be, they're designed to be used, they're designed to be enjoyed, and they're not fragile at all. And so we're going to be overt about that in our communications.
Okay, great. We're out of time. Phil, Tanya, thank you guys very much.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you so much.
My pleasure.